Welcome to Philly Coco Presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 98. This is a developer's journey into making cool stuff. I'm Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Coco Heads community focused on Apple development that primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey.
So
yes.
Well, I flubbed that pretty bad, but it's okay. It's okay. I have an excuse.
We're not doing another take.
Yeah,
No,
we're not doing.
We're just going straight through.
Straight through. You're just
Minimal
getting
editing.
it raw. You're just getting it raw and uncut in that sense.
Yeah, because we're coming out a little late with this. We're recording this on the day you normally would be listening to the pod because we have big news and we wanted to wait to share it.
Or
What is
recover.
that news? The recover. Yes, we want to recover first.
We have released an app, an iOS app, on the App Store as of last Friday of this recording. So
And not just any app, the one we've been talking about for all year.
exactly, we have. I looked at our
We could use the name.
The name is Bento Fit, and
There you
as
go.
per our normal way of describing it, Steve, if you can just give a brief elevator pitch on what Bento Fit is.
Bento Fit is simple, fast, and glanceable. It services just the metrics you need without the clutter, so you can focus on your fitness journey. That was me reading our marketing page.
I know. I was like, oh,
But no, it's true.
That's new.
That is not necessarily the best marketing text, but I had to write it very quickly because we were trying to do the submission and I needed the website to not have fake information on it. But we'll talk about it.
We were rushing everything through the last minute, and the reason why. So this app has been something that, as a side project, that we've been working on since, according to our commits, since February, end of January, early February.
Yeah, exactly. Like all year.
And so all year. So literally for let's say around like 9-10 months, we've been sort of like either ideating on this idea and implementing this idea. So I think that we should give a little pat on the back. Make sure that we
right.
update our LinkedIn profile. You know, maybe post
Yeah, I got to get to
somewhere in the socials if we care to. And I don't know, how do you guys feel now that we have this app store under the Chronomad Studios LLC account this time?
Well, I, for one, because that is my LLC that I've had for like 10 years and never published anything under. So it's a really big deal for me. I'm very happy that we finally have something out.
Let me make sure that we give a shout out to Michael Fine, who is our web designer, production designer, our artiste. I don't know. Does he have other labels that I'm missing?
Yeah. Well, he's my partner on that LLC. He's design focused, and
Yes.
he did the website for Chronomad.com, the main website, and for Bento Fit. They're just like one page websites right now. I'll flesh them out in the future. He made them pretty good for having to whip these up really quick. But he's very good at design stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the Affinity suite of apps, not Adobe, so that's a plus, right?
Yes.
It's
yes.
it's not stuck with Adobe like I am.
I mean, the funny thing for him, like, is he had he has a fresh like, as opposed to a lot of us who have like worked in Adobe products and kind of have a legacy of assets that are, or workflows that are still in Adobe. It's hard to get out of its subscription system, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I did fairly recently because it turns out that I don't really need Photoshop that much, but I had to do the whole wait till like the exact month to do the cancellation because Adobe is nefarious for that kind of dark pattern.
They're terrible for that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm stuck with them because of Lightroom, and I'm probably going to be stuck with them for the rest of my life, my mortal existence. And probably even afterwards, I'll have to, like, from beyond the grave, pay them a subscription in order to cancel it. So
That would be hilarious. not in a good way, but yeah.
No.
So we talked about this, I guess, in terms of like the last kind of rush. Part of the motivation that helped us get to actually finish this app was this sort of deadline provided by RevenueCat, a hackathon called Shipathon that is sponsored by RevenueCat. And we had to get our submission in by no later than the 31st. But we had committed, it sort of committed to like finishing it by a week before to make sure that we had enough buffer room. So that
for
last
app review.
For app review, yeah, we had to make sure we had it in the App Store was one of the requirements for submitting to RevenueCat, the Shipathon hackathon. And so we did it. So I forgot exactly the timing, but we had submitted the
Thursday.
Submitted to the App Store on Thursday, the Bento Fit, and it got approved. Took almost like the end of.
Took more than 24 hours.
It took the morning of Saturday, so side project Saturday.
Yeah.
And we just made sure that we had most of the information written through because there was a ton of forms and info that forms we had to fill out, not forms, but fields we had to fill out for the RevenueCat submission.
Yeah, Shipathon had a lot of requirements, and we needed to get a video up.
Right.
So we went through. I woke up on Side Project Saturday. I woke up and I saw a message from Kotro, and I was like, and I went in and looked at App Store Connect, and it was done. It's like a 45-minute review in like the middle of the night or whatever, and somehow we got through without any issues. I for sure thought they were gonna be confused by the tip jar or something because it's app review, and but no, we got through, and then we're at Side Project, and Kotro and I trying to put together the submission for Shipathon. We're like, wait, we need a video, so Kotro's there on his phone recording a video, and then I'm like, wait, I happen to have a YouTube account I haven't used in 10 years for the Chronomat, so I'll put it up on there. And I'm like, we were just doing last minute stuff. They're like, we're going through the list of stuff we submitted, and we're like,
the categories.
Can we do these?
Yeah.
One of the
like the vibe coding one.
Like, the vibe coding one, we're like, can we do the vibe coding one? And then we look at the rules. It's like, you have to use one of our vendors. I'm like, did we use any of the vendors? And I was like, I think we technically use Gemini. I don't know what they mean by that, but I use it a little bit. I use some Gemini LLM stuff. I mean, we're not going to win anything. They're probably just going to laugh at our entry, frankly, but that's not the point.
Faith, man.
Oh, maybe we'll win.
I've seen some of these submissions.
Yeah, but
what was that, Aaron?
The point is to ship it.
Exactly.
Yes.
That was the point. The point was to ship it.
That was the point.
We had to get to. But the best part about the Shipathon, one was we tried to submit it and it wouldn't let us submit it. It wanted a zip file of something, but it didn't say what it wanted. And we're like, a zip file of what? Like the IPA file?
We were concerned because they were like a zip file of the project, and we were like, what?
Like the code? I'm
like, do they want the code?
They said you could give it to them.
But... Yeah. But it turned out it was just like the app icon and a screenshot of the app or something like that. Like,
yeah, but they didn't say that. We had to go to the Discord, which I had never logged into, and to find this out. So if I had to give feedback to the Shipathon thing, it's to review your rules and how you're communicating requirements through your various places, because it's not 100% clear. We weren't the only people who were confused about that particular issue, and and it didn't really say it on the dev post site. But we figured it out, and we tried to fill in as many of the categories we thought could work. But we're just in our side project, just kind of quickly trying to get it together, because we couldn't really look at this until we were done the app, because we were too busy with that.
We filled out for more categories than I thought we would. Like the peace one was funny. It was like, well, it is technically more healthy people is more peaceful people, right?
Yeah, although it is lucky. I did write the story basically months ago when we started this, so I didn't have to rewrite that. But yeah, what does it say here on our submission? What we actually did? I don't think it says, but it we did. What was the one for peace?
The peace one. We did the vibe coding one. We did the design one, and I think that was, there might have been one more or two more, but yeah, I think we definitely our explanations were definitely a stretch.
Oh, see, if we had released early, the app that releases early and iterates to grow their app the fastest is the grand prize, but we didn't do that, so.
We could have.
Oh, the Peace Prize. What is the project that provides the greatest social good? That's totally us, because we're all about making America healthier and the world healthier, because it's actually released worldwide. So
that's right.
Be healthier.
So
help apps make money. That's a good one. It's not us.
That's not us. So
Build in Public, though. I think we have we
did submit for that.
Build in Public. Yeah. Because I was like, well, I didn't tell him like specific episodes. I was just like, we basically talk about every episode since February, so pick one.
Yeah.
And so it was maybe they'll look at this one. Maybe they'll listen to this one right now. Hello, reviewers. If you're listening to this,
yes.
We enjoyed your.
Anyway.
Yes.
Who is reviewing?
I don't know who's reviewing on
They have like a group of judges that will judge the apps. So they're somewhere in the web page or the front page of Shipaton. But yeah, so it's a select crew of highly esteemed, distinguished iOS developers, I assume.
They have to potentially look through 55,174 participants. That's what it says.
I cannot.
I don't know if that's
AI.
I cannot. I
don't know if that's projects or people.
That would be people. But I mean,
how many thousands of projects are probably going to be submitted? That's just crazy.
Thousands, yes. I don't know if every in terms of actual people. If you take a look at the projects gallery, maybe we'll have a sense of and if you look at how much pagination you have to do through the projects gallery, maybe that'll give us a sense of how many. No,
it hasn't been published yet.
Okay, never mind then. Sorry, we're
That's
doing
okay.
this live.
It's probably because it's not done till the end.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll say the Shipaton is a great idea. It's a good project. It's mostly pretty clear, except for that one minor thing at the end there. If you are really working through it in real time with your project and doing updates or whatever else is in here, it's probably even more useful for you. But just as a motivator, that's what we use it for, as a motivator. The primary reason it exists and why it's called Shipaton is to motivate you to ship. And that's what we did. That's our only primary reason, our primary focus was to ship it. It had to ship, it had to use Revenue Cat, and that's kind of what shaped our decisions on version 1.0. That's why it is the way it is. And because we can't add more to this right now, and what is the simplest way to do in-app purchases? Because you've done a little bit of that, Kotro. I never did any of it. I don't know how much you've done, Aaron, any in-app purchase stuff.
No, none.
No, and so I'm and Revenue Cat does make it more straightforward in a lot of ways, but we're going from almost zero. So I was like, what is the simplest thing we can do? Which is a consumable in-app purchase. You don't have to worry about, entitlements to lock down features of the app. Subscriptions, which I figure will probably get more scrutiny through app review than this kind of thing. And all I did was made sure that the language around it was super explicit, that this is a voluntary tip. And everything about it was like that. It was you're going to help us, but you're not getting anything out of it. That's the only thing I knew from my research that makes sure that was clear for app review, that we're not saying you're going to get something for these particular in-app purchases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But otherwise, it's very straightforward. That's actually the Revenue Cat integration is probably the one thing I really use the LLMs for to get working the quickest.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to use it. I figured let's see if an LLM can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
And luckily, it's well documented, so the LLM had a lot of data to go with, and it spit out a really simple thing. And then I made a lot of changes, and I made I went through multiple revisions to try to get it to look the way it does. And
so you had done a fair bit of it. And I guess sort of the modern context of vibe coding, right? Where you use the Aider or T3,
which is probably
Aider
not
T3.
Modern. I think everybody uses
Well, I say
Claude
modern in terms of
and stuff, but yeah.
I think nowadays when we say vibe coding, we're not we are. There's a mix of agentic and sort of an ask kind of scenario where you kind of letting the agent do a fair amount of the work, but you are proofreading and verifying and validating and ensuring that it's doing the thing you want it to do.
I made the robot write boilerplate code, and I made it write like slop code that I had modified. I made it write for the revenue cat thing, because we were doing something really simple. I figured let's see what I don't even know if I used Ada for that. I might use T3 chat in some model. I don't remember, but I was just like, I need a really simple view, because I remember this. I was like, I need a really simple view to test this, to figure out how to do this with. And I'm like, I'm using revenue cat. Let's go. And it gave me something that basically worked, and then I just iterated on that. And that's a really useful feature of LLMs. That's like really helpful in a project like this, to be able to quickly get moving, to keep your momentum going when you're dealing with something like a new API. So, and especially when we had a time crunch. And other than revenue cat stuff, I mean, I used it for boilerplatey stuff and for refactoring all throughout the project, because I didn't have a lot of time. I was trying to use it to save time, and I feel like there's a real delicate balance with LLMs between using them in a way that actually does save you time, and using them in a way that just actually costs you more time. Because like sometimes it would take forever to get responses, and then of course they'd be wrong. You're doing iterations, and you're like, I'm spending more time wrangling with this robot than I am like doing the code. And so you have to be careful about that balance. And that's why I like using Ada, and I've talked about that before, because it allows you to be very, very specific and narrow with what you're actually working on, and which I think gives you a better shot at getting a useful output that you can then iterate on, more traditional ways without wasting time.
I'd always wondered, like, if the key commodity that you're trying to save, right? This is supposed to be an accelerant, thus be able to save you time, right? What is that? How much is it worth it if it's taking you it's taking you more time, and B, it's costing you money, right? At the same time, right? So even if it is an accelerant, or it comes back and it takes like, whatever, couple minutes, and then you're like, this was not what I asked for, do it again.
Still pay 50 cents anyway.
Right.
Right.
So like at what point does the cost and the time, I don't know, I feel like there's like this magic formula that should be like given, that maybe, the LLMs can come up with, but like probably not. But just to like know, like, okay, what is the cost benefit to doing it, as opposed to just doing it manually, if assuming that right, assuming that you like have an idea, and it's just a tedious thing that you're thinking the LLM should be able to do, faster than I'm typing, right?
In my experience with this project, other projects especially, the thing that I save the most actual time on, that's easiest for me to judge, is generating mock data structures. Because I have to do that a lot. Because I have to interface with a bunch of APIs at work, and there's like often pretty complicated JSON structures, and I'm just like, I need to set up a Swift UI preview. And the easiest way of doing that is if I can just create a Swift struct that has reasonable mock data in it, or just take an example JSON and just like make this into a struct. And doing that by hand is slow and tedious, especially for the complicated structures, like just literally typing it out. And all you're getting for that effort is a mock data structure. There's other ways of generating these things that have existed, of course, but LLMs make it effortless. You literally give it some JSON, you're like, here, make a Swift mock. And sometimes I'll even go further. Like I have certain protocols I wanted to implement my own, and ones from, or like Codable obviously is one. And I'll just make sure it has that in the context. And I was like, do this and have it, implement these protocols. And then it just does it. And most of the time it's fine. And I'll have it like make an extension called mock, like a static var called mock, because that's what I like to do. Have it output this and like whatever. And it just generates that boilerplate code that would have taken me, more minutes than it took to generate with the LLM. So that's one. But everything else, I have no idea if it really saves a lot of time, because I think nobody really does. Because how would you know unless you were somehow implementing it without the LLM, and then with the LLM, but not having any experience implementing? You know what I mean? Like you'd have to have like a blind test, and that's really hard to set up anyway. So I don't know. I don't. I think everybody
telling me this. These AI bros are telling me this is the future, man.
So I was working on.
It makes them a 10x developer.
I was working on a view today at work that I had originally generated with like Copilot or something because I needed something just quick to like something up on a screen. I deleted like at least half of the code it made, and then I replaced maybe more than half the code. I replaced a whole bunch of it with views that I'd already made elsewhere today. Like I ripped it apart. It has very little of what I generated. Maybe 25% or something of what it generated is still in there. And it looks totally different. But I guess it saved me time in getting something up on the screen in a preview, so that I had a data structure, and I was like, I just need a preview to look at it, to start iterating on what I want these things to look like. So, in that case, it probably saved me a little bit of time, but it's hard to tell. It certainly saved me some tedium in writing it from scratch, maybe.
Okay.
But if it was any bigger of a view, like it was a really, really simple, straightforward thing, it probably would have wasted more of my time because I would have had to like wade through more code that I had to just delete, because it's not very good at SwiftUI code. Like none of these models are very good at SwiftUI code. I don't know the people who may disagree, but I don't know what you're doing in SwiftUI, but it consistently is generating suboptimal SwiftUI, especially when you start doing things like animations, or it added weird random animation stuff that didn't even have an effect on the view animation.
It loves dispatch queue main. It
does that too all the time.
It.
Like
it loves
does not
to do
understand
nested ones.
Yeah, structured concurrency is like a foreign concept until you can kind of
async await is not a thing with it unless you tell it it's a thing.
You have to like be really explicit and then give it examples.
Code.
Yeah. It really is. It's just
like
enough of it out there.
I wouldn't trust concurrency code with it at all.
No. But okay, so this falls in the category of like the good, I would say, more or less, in terms of like the good, the bad, the ugly, which is kind of like something that I proposed for this podcast as like a way for us to sort of like do a mini retro. I know Aaron's getting a little allergic to that term. That's fine.
What is happening at your day job?
Let's just say, like, once you go through the whole agile experience, regardless, right, of said company, because I've done this like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times or something like that in terms of different scenarios, that the whole thing kind of wears on, the whole process kind of wears on you for a variety of different reasons. Retro is just more of a casualty of that, but I think it's actually good for us to sort of reflect on what we did good, what are the bads, and what is the ugly. We'll
say LM coding is like 50% good, because I can't
50% good. Yeah.
It was good.
50,
it's definitely helped.
50.
I think the main good though has got to be the app design itself that you were primarily responsible for, Koto. That's like the key thing.
Thank you. Yeah.
The shader effect, the light and dark modes that are distinct but similar vibe, very nice. It informed Mike's update of the Bento Fit website too. Like we tried to keep everything kind of. It has a distinct feel. Like the app is very distinct, and that's thanks to that design. That's probably the best thing about it, because anyone can make a dashboard app, but I haven't seen one that has this particular vibe and aesthetic to it.
I mean, that's part of the fun, right? Like, I think that's all. The majority of that is handcrafted.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yep, exactly.
I think over time I would love to iterate on pushing that aesthetic a little bit further, and the mechanics of that, the animations a little further. But for V1, I was pretty happy with it, as weird as that's going to sound. Just where I was thinking we can take that metaphor from looking like a liquid display crystal display that you normally see in like a Honeywell or a Honeywell home device or a Casio watch or something like that, versus like the Tron UI, which was much more like there's no related context. It's just a different vibe, but it still fit that universe, for lack of a better description. But yeah, it was a lot of fun in my mind to just build that out. And the iteration of the design, I probably will have not talks, but like mini talks about it, just to discuss like the evolution of that, and the design decisions behind it, and the fact that liquid glass played a role in removing some elements is kind of an interesting point of topic. So
Yeah,
good and bad,
definitely.
but yeah, mostly good. The revenue cat is cool is another thing that we've already put in the good category in terms of like just making it relatively easy for us to integrate.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially it seems like a wrapper around StoreKit too, and a management backend. Like it takes care of a lot of complexity, especially we get into subscriptions, which we'll talk about. I think we'll probably end up doing that in the future. But even with just a basic in-app purchase, you set it up on the App Store, so it's not like Revenue Cat is somehow a different purchasing mechanism. They actually will integrate with other things like Stripe and whatever. But for our case, we're in the U.S. and we're intentionally want to use Apple's in-app purchase. We don't want the added complexity of doing something else anyway, even if we could. So you set it up in the App Store, and then you just kind of put the IDs in the right place and set up the. You have to just kind of understand they have their own like language around the concepts around in-app purchases, and then you just kind of set things up in the right packages, as it were. And then what's cool about it is if you go a little further than we did and you set up like subscription, you can set up these offerings where you can like change the offerings remotely without having to go through app review again because you've already approved the in-app purchases. To be clear, it's not like you're bypassing any rules. You have to get everything approved by Apple, but the point is you can kind of like change how it's displayed in your app without having to rebuild it and resubmit it. That's the point. So that's something that I look forward to, messing with in the future. But Revenue Cat, yeah, once I grokked what it was about and how to use and how their website was organized and what things I had to put in. And the way they made it easier for me, by the way, was I first sat down and I actually use an LLM for this. This was another useful way to use an LLM. Is I came up with like the names of everything for the in-app purchases and the IDs that were used, like because you have to use identifiers and like there's stuff to do on App Store Connect and then there's stuff to do in Revenue Cat. And I tried to make things like crystal clear and kind of in a pattern that we could follow moving forward, especially with the identifiers. And I wrote that into a document and I put it into our docs directory, like that kind of thing. And I kept it on a little markdown table. And so then when I had to go between both of them to set up in-app purchase stuff and set up Revenue Cat stuff, I could make sure everything matched. And so that was really helpful to do. I think that's important to kind of basically create a spreadsheet first with with all the offerings and stuff, and then you can just copy and paste things in, which is what I did.
So I guess one of the key bad and ugly situations that we've discussed was that we really didn't have a marketing plan, so we didn't try to like push hard on this app.
Okay, so let me
ether.
Let me show you our results so far. There we go.
That's 147 impressions. 50 people have viewed the page, and it's probably like more like 20 because
conversion.
There's like probably like
8%.
0% conversion. No, 8%
conversion. I don't know what the 0% is next to this number.
Right. We got 6 downloads total.
Yeah, but like one of them is definitely me. One of them's you.
One of them's me. One of them's you. Aaron's not even in here, so.
So a couple of these people are not us. That's good.
Yeah, I'm
no one gave us a tip.
No one gave us tips so far.
So maybe 3 people downloaded them so far.
Studio display money to roll in.
I know.
Yeah, we're waiting for it.
We need the studio display money to start rolling in. No worries. But we just released this on the, today is like of recording is the 29th, and it was released on the 26th. Is that true? Looks like it.
It was released on
26th
Saturday.
or 27 on Saturday. Yes. So
27.
Saturday was 27.
27.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, like, what are we expecting here? I'm actually surprised when you actually type Bento Fit in the search engine, it actually shows up as one of the leading ones.
I have a question. Maybe something else we messed up is I do not see any screenshots in the search results. Is that because we didn't put the max size in? Did we forget?
Maybe. So that
because
might be something.
We should really put in the largest size, and I think it's still optional, but I don't see it on mine. I have a Max phone. It just doesn't show any screenshots until you go into it. But, normally everything else on the list shows screenshots on the search list.
Right.
So which sucks because we have to do another build for that. But
right. But that actually is fine because that's part of the...
We can throw in some more metrics. It's fine.
Yeah. We could throw in some more metrics, which leads us to the next thing of what we want to do for future versions of Bento Fit, what are some of the things on the list of what we would want to add? I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously, we need to, besides bug fixes, there's definitely more metrics. And I think if you're listening to this, you want to download the app, check it out. And if there's stuff that's not in there, which there probably will be, there's a feedback button. In the app, you can send there's an email address there. You can send me an email. It'll go to me and tell us what kind of metrics. So I think more metrics are one thing. And then that leads into we need a better manager user interface as the number of metrics grows. And
easiest thing to do as a starting point would be to add a searchable to allow people to search and like filter through manually. So that's like a quick, easy win. So expect that in the near future. I'll put up a PR for something simple.
I think if we add more metrics, add more functionality, then we should probably add a real revenue plan with like probably a subscription model and actually have a paywall around something.
Yep.
And also that will let us get more deep into revenue cat because the main purpose of this app was to learn things as well. So that'll be useful.
I mean, that was one thing that I did want to bring up. I'm gonna when we talked about this, and this falls in the good category, but when we talked about this, when we released it, one of the things that I was talking to you about, Steve, was like the experience that we got out of this, whether it was furthering our knowledge of SwiftUI, much more deeper knowledge of HealthKit. I think we've had some experience with HealthKit before, but never to the level that we've been doing it never at this level. I don't think any of us has really been confident of touching Xcode Cloud. We got that integrated in our pipeline.
Yeah, that was fun. That's a weird system,
to say the least, right?
Okay, during the Xcode 26 transition, at one point it just stopped working because it didn't have the shader. It didn't have the metal. What is that metal thing that's in Xcode?
Yeah,
components.
Shader. Oh, it's a shader file.
It didn't have that metal shader, whatever thing. It didn't have that installed on the server, so the builds would always fail. And I had to take the Xcode build environment and manually set it to Xcode 26.0 because the point release one broke things, and then the point release started. Then it started breaking because they must have fixed something, and then it started breaking the way I had it set up. So then I had to set it to the latest one again. Like really weird random stuff. Like it would just randomly fail. Is what I'm saying. But it's still cool that it worked at all. Anyway,
because last time it didn't.
Yeah, last time we tried to use this, like a couple years ago, it wouldn't run at all. Like we couldn't even get
because
it.
Because it was a pure watchOS app. Yeah, and that was when it first came out.
And sometimes
I had no idea what to do with that.
Yeah. No idea. And sometimes it's really slow. I did learn a little bit about how to debug those things. There's like command line foo you can do to kind of run the build and see all this like output the same way it would see it. Another useful thing for LLMs, by the way, because they're basically like search engines for this stuff. So I was like, I don't know, how do I debug blah, blah, blah? And it was like gave me a bunch of commands to use.
Right. So getting back to that list, right? So like Revenue Cat integration. So we learned how to do Revenue Cat, which is a very popular SDK to integrate in-app purchases. So a shout out to you, Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. It's not hard once you've done it. When you go from zero, it still feels like a little overwhelming. You're like, what do I do?
Yeah. In-app purchases, just a whole mechanic of that.
Yeah, that was
further experience with metal shaders, animation, vibe coding with Aider, and T3 in your case. A little bit of Apple Intelligence I've played around with. Nothing's crazy, but
nothing
enough.
In there, but yeah.
Mike Fine got into web design, and a lot of that was him just vibing that out and building something straight, very simple and straightforward.
I'm not sure what tools he was using for it, but it wasn't all like he might have started with like an LLM generated skeleton at one point, but I'm pretty sure he massaged the hell out of it. Like he downloaded, like for instance, that orange on the website, this orange frame. This is apparently from Apple's official stuff on the developer side or whatever. I didn't even know it existed, but he downloaded it and put it together. He took screenshots, like he did all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and he did a great job, right? So also the modern app submission process.
Yeah, I haven't done one from scratch in years.
Right.
It's like There's a lot of more boxes now. There's more things to do. The privacy stuff. Another shout out to Revenue Cat. Okay, they have an entire help file on how to do the privacy checklist for Apple. You know what I'm talking about, the privacy nutrition label, because I was like, I don't know what I have to fill out for this because we have Revenue Cat, but thankfully they have a pretty clear guideline. There's a lot of screens from Apple. My God, a lot of screens, and the text on those screens is verbose, and it's not always clear what they want from you. So thank you, Revenue Cat, for being clear and just saying, click this. If you do this, click this. You know,
and by the way, this is in case you're just curious, this is not a sponsored ad. This is us literally being happy with our Revenue Cat.
Yeah, I'm just happy. Yeah, I'm happy that they have. The more I use them, the more I understand why they're popular, because they have put so much effort and thought into this. I even had to go in and I found the box. I remembered that this was a thing. This is not really surfaced in the UI, but you have to go per app and tell them that you're in the small business program. For some reason, I think it has to do with like how accounting works or something.
Okay,
I don't know, but there's a thing where you tell them like if that you're in the program and the date range. And also, I actually didn't know how to figure out whether I was still in that program because I applied for it when it was new. I sent a message in to Apple, the Apple developer, and they got back to me in like an hour or something. It was crazy fast, and they're like, "You're still in the program." I'm like, "Thank you."
Nice.
It was nice. They just gave me a straightforward answer. What? Thank you, Apple. So it was like that was nice.
But then you think about it, right, like all the experience in terms of like dealing with that, the time management that we had to sort of figure out with between our day job and this project.
Yep, time management was a big problem.
Rapid development and the feature cuts that we had to sort of like we were pretty brutal about like, okay,
we're brutal.
Get rid of the widgets, get rid of the watch app, get rid of a lot of stuff that we really wanted. Yeah,
widgets. We really wanted widgets, and we just abandoned it entirely because it broke as we were trying to get things to work with HealthKit, and then we're like, we do not have time for this. But luckily, we made the main app so fast to load once you've gotten it set up that I think it's okay. But I still want to put widgets in. I think the widgets are like a really useful thing for this kind of app.
Agreed.
Website stuff I learned as well from this. Like, I mean, obviously we're going to update the websites, but I know we're going back and forth on things. But I think we will have future discussions about a lot of the things that we're kind of mentioning here tonight. And one of them is going to be websites because I went through a bunch of research on different options for websites, and I ended up at Cloudflare pages instead of GitHub pages.
I didn't know. So they do hosting
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know until I looked it up. But it does exist. I'll show it to you here, you guys. I was logged in, and apparently they logged me out.
How dare they?
Yeah, well, here we are. We're back. So,
wow.
Yeah, they have a. Their interface is kind of confusing. Like,
it's
compute workers.
looking.
This is how you get to pay. This is, by the way, this should be on like their FAQ or something. Where the heck is the Cloudflare pages button in the main Cloudflare website? It's on the left-hand toolbar. It's not called pages. It's called compute (workers).
Oh my goodness!
And then workers and pages. What?
A school of service design.
Yes, of naming, the AWS School of UI naming
of like nested nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, what made you pick Cloudflare as a hosting option?
Okay, mainly. Well, I guess two reasons. One, I wanted to move my DNS from my main website and my main Chronoman website. I wanted to move that to a better DNS host. And Cloudflare is like the default choice for managing your DNS. Their free plan is plenty for almost everybody. And I wanted to move my DNS out of like my ISP, my host I was using at the time, or my registrar. I wanted to just move it somewhere that's dedicated, that has more features I can grow into if I use them. And then the other reason was I didn't really want to use GitHub pages. I started down that route, but then I was like, you have to have a GitHub repo, public one, unless you pay GitHub.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that available because Mike had made this stuff as just HTML and, JavaScript and CSS in a directory. because it's like one or two HTML files and some assets. So he just gave them to me as like a zip file, and I was like, I didn't have time to go set up a repo and like check it in and set up all the GitHub stuff. Meanwhile,
you're doing it old school.
Yeah, so literally Cloudflare Pages has an option. Now, it could do all that stuff with GitHub, which is how I'm going to eventually do it. But the what you could do is you literally just take files, and you can, on the web interface, at least at first, you can drag and drop them in there and it works. But then I couldn't figure out how to update the page. Well, it turns out that I don't know if you can get back to the web UI in here. I never found out how to do that. But they have a really nice little command line tool called Wrangler, which happens to be the name, I think, of a text editor for Windows
Text Wrangler.
or something.
Yeah.
Text Wrangler, that's what I was thinking of. But no, they have a thing called Wrangler, and it makes it really simple once you figure out the slightly bizarre, syntax for it. It's not like bizarre, but it's like it's just, I wouldn't have guessed. I had to look it up. So you figure out what to say, and then you can do something like I did in this case, which was like I had a directory, and I was like, here, just upload this directory, and then it just uploads only the changes. And then you can see here what it does is it spins up like a VM, and then the latest one is the active one, and then all the other ones are just, I don't know, I guess I could shut them down. I don't know what they're doing. If they shut down automatically or not.
So I guess I have to ask because, I'm just being me, but how much is this costing you? This
is free. This is the free plan. That's the other reason.
All right. Okay. That is actually pretty cool.
Like, they have very basic metrics, and obviously you can't have a like really like high impact site on this. I think Cloudflare also supports more types of websites than GitHub pages. I didn't look into too much. It's still just a static page, so it's irrelevant to me. Right. You could pay them and you get other features, better metrics, and you can do more stuff. But the basic, I'm telling you, Cloudflare pages, load that web page. It is the fastest loading web page I've ever deployed in my life. Like, it's just a static page and just loads immediately on my phone over Wi-Fi. It's just crazy.
Bento Fit. Oh well, if it loads really well on my Wi-Fi, you made it. Yeah, that is pretty fast.
Yeah, right. And that's some of that is Cloudflare. You can see here in the back end. It's
also
crazy.
Not a sponsor.
Oh, not a sponsor. You can just, another reason I use them is because you can have a custom domain with them for free. And if you use them as your DNS, setting it up literally is like one click, and you just wait a few minutes because they read the DNS from their own system. You don't have to set anything up. Then they do a really weird thing. This is kind of a tangent, but their DNS is weird. The way they do things is if I could figure out how to get back to the DNS side, they're a little confusing. Their navigation's not the strong suit, or it's not my strong suit. I want to go back to see.
It looks pretty wonky by itself, so
it's a little wonky.
I don't think you're to blame for that.
No, but they use a CNAME. They have a whole document about this. Look, it even has a little note. It says CNAME records normally cannot be on the zone apex. Yeah, I saw this and I was like, what? I was like, and then I vaguely remember that I'd read something about this years ago. Cloudflare does a CNAME on what's called like the zone apex, which you should not be able to do. But they have some way that they've done this, which means that you can have your domain name point to a subdomain where you're in like Cloudflare pages where your website actually is, which means that you can use this whole Cloudflare pages thing really easily. It's just bizarre, but it works, and I haven't had any issues so far, so whatever. They figured it out. They're amazing.
Awesome.
They're really like making DNS work for them.
Yeah.
I used to do DNS stuff like way back in the 90s, like old school DNS. You had to modify text files on a server and hope you didn't screw anything up, which we occasionally did. Mm-hmm. And then you made one error and like all the sites failed, and then it gets propagated across the internet.
Yeah. So I guess trying to wrap this up, if you were to look back on it, do you have any particular, I don't know, like general comments about this experience?
I guess I'll go first. I think overall it's a good experience. I think next time I do this, I want to make sure that I put more, have better time management in the beginning. I think it got better as the project went on. I think we did a lot of things right here. We focused on a project that we all had an interest in that was useful to us regardless of whether anybody else in the world uses it, but it was small enough that we could build in a reasonable amount of time, even with a little bit of only a little bit of time available, and we could potentially expand on the concept in the future if we want to add features and things. Obviously be able to learn all the things we wanted to learn. So I think it was actually a really, really good example of a side project. Like, it has potential to be more than that, but even if it never is, it was still worth doing, at least for me. So I thought it was really good, really great experience. I've had a lot of fun building it.
You, Aaron?
Yeah, it was fun, even though I didn't get to spend as much time as I would like on it. But
that's okay.
There's still plenty of stuff to add.
Yeah, version 0.1 and beyond is waiting.
I think the funny thing about that, at least for Aaron's side of things, like all those stats that you put in there, it's like, oh, I'll never need those because I'm not going to be doing that. But like I can manage that like pretty quickly of like dialing the knobs and changing the data items to fit my needs. I think just the speed of that, even though it's still fairly rudimentary and generic in terms of the UX of that, is actually kind of like, oh, this is pretty nice.
That's primarily because I spent like the longest amount of time just trying to get the data structures to be a reasonable abstraction so that we can add things. It's still like not like the best abstraction in the world. It's essentially a gigantic enum. It just goes to tell you that the power of enums should not be underestimated.
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out if I could switch the units on some things. I'm like, that might take a significant refactoring.
I don't know. It says up, but we got.
Yes. I mean, no code is ever static.
No, it's just
if
everything, all of the units are like, oh, there's one unit per health metric.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's all an enum, and it's like, oh, how do we do it if we want to have like, this could be imperial or metric or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a 0.1.
Yeah, there's lots of ways of
0.01.
There's lots of ways of doing it. I mean, this is a small enough project. We're probably going to like rewrite most of it again as we refactor it.
Yep.
So, whatever. That's part of the charm of a side project this size, that we can just churn on it and be like, yeah, we got to a bigger point. We got enough functionality now. We have to like do something different.
Yes.
But it works for version 1, and it seems pretty stable. So that's great.
Yes, indeed. Okay, cool. I think we should probably just wrap it up here.
What about you? Go through. Do you have anything you want to say?
You're right. I forgot to even add my own thing. So I think, for me, I think certainly the sort of the process is what I always kind of like look at as like, how was the process and how did we handle that process of like getting from point A to point B? And I think that this one was kind of interesting from a design point of view of like, it was actually a bit of a struggle early, to just sort of, because I think before I was like, oh, a Bento UI, that makes sense. And then sort of like shaping that into the crystal display metaphors. And that took a little bit of time to sort of like commit to like, okay, like I wanted this vibe or that, like, oh, the Tron UI is like, when I saw dark mode for the first time, I was like, oh, this can have its own, it doesn't quite exactly make sense, but it fits that vibe because it is sort of like a Tron UI. So just stick with it because that actually feels like it has its own personality. So I think the process of figuring that part out was probably the thing that I'll reflect the most on for this particular project. But yeah, and I think the later animations that we got in actually was,
well, they're nice.
Was like a really good experience because I think
it really makes
taught me.
I just launched the app while you were talking on my phone, and yeah, that nice little slide up animation, it's sweet. I mean, it's the little things that make it fun, and And I think for the rest of the year, we're probably just we'll talk about some topics related to this, and maybe we'll do some updates on the app. But we're not going to start something new, I think, until the new year.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would probably just add like little minor tweaks and refinements and just do quick PRs, and then if they're good, we'll push up a build, and that'll be our chance. Like, even if they're small, even if they're like simple things, you could push up a bug fix build, and for the most part, then we can fix the screenshots.
Yeah, we'll come up with a marketing plan too.
Yeah, that'll be little. It'll be who knows? It might be surprising. Like it gets to a point where like somebody's like, yeah, I use this app, and it's it finds its own audience. So
doesn't need to be much. I just want one person to buy us a tip. That's all I want. I want, or however money you need in order for Apple to send us a check, whatever that is.
We can retire.
I don't even need that. Just like the minimum. What is the minimum amount? What is the minimum that Apple needs? What is it?
Oh, to actually do the payout?
For Apple to give you a payout, what is it?
Oh, it's usually close to about $100. So once you get up to like $50 to $100, and it can't be pity pits.
Do the studio display tip,
mind,
baby.
But like,
Come on.
Studio display.
Studio display money. No, that's actually even just one person. That's the next major milestone. Like if that is one thing we haven't hit yet that I really want to happen is just like one person, like not a family member or something, just to buy something, like buy something through the app.
You don't count.
You don't count the same. I still take your money.
Yeah, we would appreciate the support regardless.
Yes, I appreciate your money, family, if you do it. But you know what I mean. I just want, like, if someone appreciated what we did and gave us a tip, then I will think that we have been like accomplished everything on our list.
Yes,
for this. That's what I'm saying. And then of course we're going to iterate on the in-app purchase stuff. So I'm not really worried about
how long that's going to take.
To get a tip?
I don't know. Do you have
at this rate?
Friends and family?
I mean, maybe by the year 2030.
Yeah,
depends if we start marketing or not.
Yeah, no. Obviously, I think that's another thing. I know we're a little over time, but it's like the lack of marketing is something we knew was going to be a problem. Like we knew that without marketing, we're not going to get traction. Mm-hmm. There's no magic in the App Store, but we did that consciously because, as we said, our priority was getting it shipped, not having it be a marketable app right now.
I think the beauty about that, as weird as it's going to sound, is that gives us time to sort of refine the product to the point for that, like when the time comes, like, okay, we should push a little bit and market it, whether it be putting search ads or whatever. But then that would be like, it would be, we would have some breathing room, basically. This is just more, if you can think of it like almost in the restaurant business, so like a soft launch, right? Where
actually, that's a good point.
And then, because like nobody cares like until it like shows up in like, like the front page of like the App Store.
Marketing is something that changes over time anyway. It's not the end of the world that it doesn't work out with your first attempt or your first few days or whatever. There's certainly advantages if you can do stuff. I don't even know if Apple used to give new apps like extra buzz or something on the App Store. So I don't even know if they do that anymore. If that even was a thing. Like,
one of the key things I forgot to do, but is something worth doing once we feel comfortable, is just putting it as a promo.
Well, yeah.
In the promo .apple.com, I forgot exactly the exact link URL.
I think there's as I was setting up the App Store Connect record, there's a lot of stuff that's like marketing related now that Apple provides that we did not even look at yet. So I think that we'll have a lot of interesting topics for the pod to continue to come out of this project, even if active development kind of winds down, after maybe a couple of updates. And I think that's fine. I think that's another thing that's valuable about a side project. You never know what you're going to get out of it besides the product itself. In our case, I think we're going to get some good content as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Cool. Well, I think we're gonna leave it at that. So that'll be it for today. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you'll find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is. And please share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. This is going to be I'm going to share my screen for a bit but this is an app that one of our Philly Coco colleagues had just released. I hope I can show it. I'm going to share it now. You tell me if you can see that.
Yes.
It's an app called Minimalist Meditation Timer. Intercom, no subscriptions. It's actually a paid upfront app developed by Joe Cotelis. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. He is a co-founder of the company the same company that built the Clipdish app. So you can, if you remember that app from our prior non-sponsor promotions, you know that he is a part of that team. And this meditation app, it's a meditation timer focused on what matters, your practice. No courses, no subscriptions, no distractions, just you, your breath or your breathing, and a beautiful, simple timer. So it's a iOS app that is also for the iPad and the Apple Watch. So again, it's a paid upfront app developed by the AppJohns LLC group and just came out. So
is there a website?
Is there a website? Very good question. I think it might be in the...
Click the website button. See if...
Where's the website button? Okay,
right
there we go. Sorry. Apologies. It is AppJohns. So it's just appjohns.com. I'm sure they have a Discover Our App button, and there you'll find all the extra info of their other two apps, the Clipdish, Mio Vino, which is a wine tracking app, and their new one, Minimalist Meditation, which says coming soon, but it's actually out on the App Store already. So I will stop sharing, and hopefully I'll post a link in our description below, and so you can find more information there. But it is AppJohn. John is in JAWN for anyone that's not in Philly.
Link is in the show notes.
Link will be in the show notes. Let's see. I'm really out of it. But until next time, good luck on your own developer journey. We're cheer for you always.
We're just sitting here waiting for our tips.